you know, you're pro-black, you know, doesn't mean you're anti-white or anti-anything. You know, you could be proud of where you come from, you know, and that's okay.
Yeah. I do not need a 40-year-old white dude to tell me what didn't work for him about A Wrinkle in Time. It wasn't made for him.
Well guys, here we are again. It's happening again. How many times do we need to see this same pattern play itself out with movies before Hollywood starts getting the message? A particular movie or franchise decides to inject very divisive identity politics into their film. There's a big backlash online. They vilify the people in the backlash. The movie then bombs in cinemas or at least underperforms significantly. And then everyone blames the internet for toxic fandom or whatever the case may be. But in the end, they have to bend to the market and course correct. Now, I never thought we would see this pattern introduced in a Marvel film, because Marvel has been extremely smart in how they have dealt with the fans, how they've interacted with the fans, how they've shown respect to the fans. And the fans in return have rewarded them. They've been very loyal and they've given them some of the hugest smash hits ever in cinematic history. So that's why when the early rumblings about Brie Larson's Captain Marvel was going around, I didn't pay them much attention because I thought, nah, this isn't Star Wars, this is Marvel. They don't make these kind of mistakes. And having looked into it, I still don't think they have made this mistake. I think the reason there's this shenanigans going on around Captain Marvel now is more due to Brie Larson throwing a spanner in the works and inadvertently sabotaging herself rather than Marvel miscalculating. I think if Brie Larson could have just kept her mouth shut, or maybe taken some cues from people who understand the fandom and how the online world works a bit better. We know there's people in Marvel who understand that very well. They've shown that they understand it. If she had taken cues from them, I think a lot of this could have been avoided. But before I go any further, in case you don't know what I'm talking about, interest for Captain Marvel, based on Rotten Tomatoes at least at the moment, is tanking. It's gone from 98% when the first trailer came out, now down to I think 31% the last time I saw it, unless it's dropped even more since then. And that's very, very unusual for a Marvel film. So what happened? Well, an old clip resurfaced of Brie Larson saying this.
I do not need a 40-year-old white dude to tell me what didn't work for him about A Wrinkle in Time. It wasn't made for him.
First of all, considering how much of a cinematic bomb Wrinkle in Time was, it's weird that she's wanting to come out and bat for that film. I mean, just let it go, move on to something else. But her statement that the film wasn't made for white people, particularly white men, because, you know, of course you always gotta have a little loophole to exclude yourself from these rules. So she does, because, I mean, if she wanted less white people in film, she could always give up the role of Captain Marvel to a black woman or an Asian woman or whatever. But of course she's not gonna do that, because I guess she likes to preach these values, but not actually have to pay the cost of them herself. She expects everyone else to pay the cost. Other white people should lose their jobs, not her. Now, as you can imagine, in today's political climate and the way the online world works, this did not go over too well. And the old straight white man is kind of getting a little bit sick and tired of being constantly condescendingly lectured towards by people like Brie Larson, which is a good-looking white woman in the Western world, which is like the most privileged class of humans that have ever existed in all of human history. Lecturing anyone else, it's really nauseating. And this is certainly not helped by her general attitude in saying these things, with that little head jerk and just that condescending tone and I mean, try to watch that and not pour tea over your computer, Bandersnatch style. It's very difficult to resist that urge. Now, she does state several times while making this statement that she doesn't hate white men.
Am I saying that I hate white dudes? No, I'm not.
And I mean, on the one hand, I don't want to call her racist because I can understand. I mean, it must suck to have other people calling you racist when you know you're not. I mean, think about it, straight white men. Think about it. How much must that suck? How bad must that be to have people accusing you of being racist and nothing you say or do can change their mind? They just keep accusing you of being racist when you know you're not. That's something we all understand very well. So on the one hand, I don't want to do that to her, but on the other hand, like it's fine for me to say I'm not a racist, but if I say I'm not a racist while I'm standing next to a burning cross, kind of cancels it out. Likewise, Brie Larson might say she's not a racist as much as she wants, but when she advocates policies of basically firing white reporters from the press junket or whatever for this movie, kind of hard for that I'm not a racist thing to sink in. Now, Brie Larson did come out to say that she's not advocating that any white people should be fired because of their skin color, just that more non-white people should be hired.
What I'm looking for is to bring more seats up to the table.
Yep.
No one's getting their chair taken away. There's not less seats at the table. There's just more seats at the table.
Yeah.
That's it.
Only problem is, Brie, there's not an unlimited number of reporters or interviewers or whatever you can have at one press junket. There's got to be a limit to how many you can have. So one way or another, no matter how you cut it, you're going to have to eventually end up firing people based off their skin color. That is the logical conclusion of what you're proposing. That is pretty much the definition of discrimination. I mean, if that's not racist, please tell me what is. Now, I don't know whether Brie Larson, maybe she just hasn't thought it through that much, or maybe she just simply doesn't care based off her attitude. I'm suspecting it's the latter. But saying you're not a racist while pushing for policies that result on people being hired and fired based off their skin color, those two things kind of clash, Brie. See, this is why I advocate meritocracy, because that's the only fair thing to do. The person who's best for the job gets the job, regardless of the color of their skin. That's the only fair way to do things. Judging people not on the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. But apparently Brie Larson doesn't believe in that. So what do we got? We got this weird situation where here's a Marvel movie that has some elements in it that are going to be very important. It leads into Avengers Endgame, which I'm really hyped up for. It's introducing the Skree, which could significantly change things in the universe. Things I want to see, but this movie is headed by someone who I really, really don't like. And I just don't know if I can sit through a movie looking at her obnoxious face. So I think I'm just going to give it a miss. But this opens up an interesting discussion about what makes this movie different from, say, Black Panther. Because Black Panther was a movie that was made with a specific audience in mind. This was something special for African Americans or just Africans in general. And likewise, Captain Marvel here, it's released on International Women's Day. It's very girl power heavy. It's obviously something of special significance, or intended to be of special significance for women. So how did this one go so wrong while Black Panther went so right? Well, I think part of the reason is, while Black Panther was a movie that was intended for black people, to be special for black people, at no point did I, as a white guy, ever feel like I was not welcome there, or no one ever said that it's not made for me, or that they don't care what I have to think about the movie or whatever. So that's the strength of Marvel movies, is Marvel movies, they're for everyone. Everyone can enjoy them. They don't exclude anyone.
You know, we were in South Korea, and you know, after the journalists saw the film, you know, they showed up in their traditional garbs, you know, from Indonesia and Malaysia and India, and for me, it was just like, it's making people proud of where they come from and their history and their culture and their heritage. And it's not just because, you know, you're pro-black, you know, doesn't mean you're anti-white or anti-anything. You know, you could be proud of where you come from, you know, and that's okay.
Yeah. I do not need a 40-year-old white dude to tell me what didn't work for him about A Wrinkle in Time. It wasn't made for him.
Whereas because of Brie Larson's comments, the perception that is built up around this Captain Marvel movie is that if you're white, this isn't made for you, and that nobody wants to hear what you think about the movie, and that you just need to shut up and hand over your money. Well, sorry, but no, that's dumb, and it doesn't need to be like that. Wonder Woman is a feminist icon, yet no point in watching that movie did I ever feel like I as a man was being demonized in some way, or that men weren't allowed to see the movie. I mean, lots of men loved that movie, Wonder Woman, and she's a feminist hero. So I think that's the key, is like, there's nothing wrong at all with targeting a certain demographic, as this movie is something special for them, but you don't want to do that at the exclusion of other groups, because it's going to cost you at the box office. I mean, this is the lesson that Star Wars hopefully has learned by now. Like, Kathleen Kennedy really wanted to draw in, get girls more engaged in Star Wars, but the way to do that is not alienating the male fans. And the really sad thing is, ultimately, I think this movie is going to be quite good, because Marvel always seems to deliver. It's got some cool elements to it. It seems to sort of link in with different aspects of different movies. It's got some cool stuff in there. If only Brie Larson kept her lecturing to a minimum, or just saved that for other times, I think we would have been okay. Now, I don't think Captain Marvel is going to bomb. I think it might underperform, and as a result, we might see Captain Marvel kind of pushed to the edges of the Marvel universe. I don't think she'll be cancelled or replaced, or mind you, it would be funny if Brie Larson was fired and then they recast her with a black actress. That would be some poetic justice right there. But I do think that this movie will underperform from what they were hoping it would, and as a result, it's going to be a while before we see another Captain Marvel solo movie. Although, rumor has it she has a very big part in taking out Thanos in Endgame, so it's going to be interesting to see how it all turns out. Hi guys, I just wanted to let you know if you need any artwork done, the guy you want to talk to is my buddy Jack Burchill. He designed the book cover for the book that I'm going to be releasing pretty shortly. He won the logo making competition for Movie Mania, but this guy does so much more than that. He does comic books, he does puppets, he does full entire costumes, he's a sculptor, he's a writer, he's really a jack of all trades. I'm extremely happy with the work that he's done. If you need any kind of artistic work done for pretty much any project, Jack is the guy you want to talk to. You can contact him on his website or his Instagram, all of which are linked below. Alright, let's get back into it. But I'm curious to know how you guys have responded to this Captain Marvel Brie Larson stuff. Has it affected whether or not you're going to see the movie? Are you worried about what it might do with Marvel as a whole? And where do you lay the blame for this at? Do you lay the blame for this at the feet of internet trolls, or of Brie Larson, or of Marvel for hiring Brie Larson in the first place? Let me know in the comments section. I am Bandit, this is Bandit Incorporated. Until next time, I will see you guys in the comments.